Let's podcast alongside Lauren Brownlow, filling in for Joe Giglio today. I'm Joe OVIES Eford Studios, downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management is something that can sneak up on you cost-wise. You're probably wasting a lot of money without realizing it. Have Copiers Plus give you an assessment so you have a better understanding of where things are and start saving money. We all need to start saving money, Brownlow. That's where it's at.
Facts.
Especially since my HVAC decided to go.
That is, oof.
On a heat index day of 109. Love that. Love that for me.
I can't.
In the middle of a bathroom remodel.
I cringed. I felt that when you said that. I was like, no.
I don't know. I've got this place since the last time you were in here. Giglio and I have made this place more of a dorm aesthetic, I guess. Which
it was already dormy.
When we had a mixtape contestant come in, he was like, yeah, man, this is taking me back. It was like, I guess we need black lights at some point.
Yeah.
But you called me out as we were getting ready to start talking. You saw the thing that's above my head. You're like, what is that?
That's amazing.
That's a tidbit.
Okay.
I finally got God. I am not one to buy stuff based on what Instagram feeds me.
Yeah.
I'm not one to do that. You know this about me. But I was like, gosh, that would look good behind me while we're doing the show.
No,
and to rotate through stuff.
The thing is, like, they've honed it. They really do know what, like, they'll send me something. I'll be looking at some category of clothes or something, and all of a sudden I'll see some really cute versions of it pop up, and I'm like, don't click on that. And I'm like, well, let me just check it out. Let me just see. Let's just see what the prices are. You
never know. Well, that's how I was with Solo Stove. When Solo Stove came on the scene, I was like, well, that looks cool. And then I saw the price and I said, forget it. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then on TikTok right now, there's this craze of like this sweater with pickle jars on it. And now everybody seems to be wearing it. It's the strangest thing. Maybe I'll show up one day. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see me in a pickle jar sweater in the winter.
I don't care for pickles, so I can't be fake and wear a sweater like that. So
Did you care for the Carolina Panthers offensive line in their preseason debut for BryceYoung on Saturday against the Jets?
I'd probably rate that about a pickles for me, which is something I wouldn't go near.
Wait, do you not do fried pickles at least?
No. Why would I do a fried pickle?
See, I was not a pickle person until I had fried pickles.
Okay, but the flavor of pickles is what bothers me. So like the inside of the pickle is still present even with the fried.
Fair. That's fair. That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
But I did watch I watched it. It was terrifying.
It's funny. This is where we're at with the Carolina Panthers. I think the offseason, we've talked about it repeatedly on the podcast.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about this, in that the Panthers have done a really good job of bringing people back to the fold. Matt Rule just kind of burned everybody. It was not a fun team to be a part of, watch, engage with. The Panthers have really talk about honing in on social media, like to get you to buy stuff.
Dude,
the Panthers have been fantastic.
They're doing a podcast about the Panthers' first Super Bowl run. I mean, and it's called like Cardiac something. And I'm like, you just hit me right in my feelings, like a direct hit.
See, that's what it is. They've been hitting you on feelings this
hitting
entire
me in
summer.
my nostalgia feelings.
And it's worked.
It's good. It's a good idea.
However, all that goes out the window when BryceYoung, well, it's funny.
A pickle sandwich.
The first play from scrimmage for BryceYoung really was like
it was the omen for what.
But it was everything that you were worried about, right? So okay, cool. BryceYoung completes a pass, first down, awesome, but he also got hit, but he took the hit and he got right up.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So he didn't break.
So at first you're excited, like at least I was, but then you're also like, at first I was excited when the play happens. You see the replay, you see how hard he gets hit, and you're like, not great. Just one play. It's whatever.
It's just one play.
It's fine.
No big deal. And you're like Ross from Friends. I'm fine. It's fine.
Yeah, the rest of the game happens.
But because taking hits like that does matter. And I do feel that there is, I guess this is a byproduct if you're too online, so to speak, in that, and we'll get to too online thanks to the NCAA and Jim Harbaugh in a little bit. But I think it's fair to have concerns about BryceYoung's size. Okay.
Yes.
That's a fair concern.
It's fairer for me, less like his height and more like his stature.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But it's another where you're starting to panic because he took some hits. Every quarterback in the pocket gets hit. Okay.
It's not the fact that he just took some hits. It's the fact that you have a lineman that you felt like you could count on looking like he's getting worked in Ike Ekwonu. That's concerning.
Yeah, but I would say too that,
I mean, it's just one game. It's preseason. I get it.
Jeff Schwartz, who works for The Athletic, does a podcast, offensive lineman, because I think this is what's funny. You think quarterback discourse gets eye rolling?
I know that O-line Twitter is a mess, and I will freely admit that obviously I've never played football, and the O-line is even more like who the sack is on is a very complicated question that we cannot always answer from the outside.
But I will credit Jeff Schwartz. I don't have the tweet in front of me, so I'm paraphrasing here, but his point is valid in that with preseason and the amount of work that these guys actually get before the first game. They don't have enough reps. Ike Ekwonu hasn't actually. He has not actually played.
I do.
He has not played for 7 months.
Yeah, that's true. Right? It's like live game, but neither the Jets. So, whatever. It's fine.
But the Jets also have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL.
I do know that I was going to add that, so that does impact things at least a touch. It wasn't so much. It was just like, and it wasn't like, oh, okay, he got hit a few times, and that's the only concern. It's also just like the offense is yet again completely inept. I think that's the bigger concern on my end, where it's like, oh, good, 0 points. Cool. That looks familiar-ish.
I mean, look, the Baltimore Ravens have a streak of 23 preseason games that they've won.
It's ridiculous.
It's nuts. And at this point, you got to keep it going. Although, did they win this weekend? I have to go back and double check.
I'm not sure, actually. Yeah.
I really don't know.
I feel like I would have seen more if they actually lost.
If they had lost, we would have seen that the streak had been snapped. But okay, about Frank Reich and the offense. I did think it was interesting that Reich, after the game, almost stuck his foot in his mouth. And I don't think he did a good job of trying to, whereas BryceYoung did a good job of quarterback speak. So let's play BryceYoung first.
Okay.
Here's Young on the hits that he took. He had 11 plays from scrimmage. He got hit 3 times, including that first one. And then there was I think it was the second hit, which was a bunch of welcome to the NFL type stuff.
Yes. That was the most.
And you and I and most of Panthers fans were pointing out, man, the offensive line looked really bad. Get Cam Irving out of there. Why is Michael Jordan on the field? All those things.
Yeah, wrong Michael Jordan.
Yeah. This is BryceYoung after the game doing what franchise quarterbacks should be doing.
It's not it's this person, it's this unit, it's this position group. Not at all. When sacks happen, that's on all of us. So 100% the sacks, those sacks are on me as well. I can of course get the ball out quicker. We're a group, we're a unit, we're a team. So there's no finger pointing. And of course, if there's a negative play, again, there's a sack. Ultimately, I allowed myself to get sacked. I could have gotten the ball out quicker. I could have moved. I could have been. So of course, I take responsibility for that. And then I know, we all have that same mindset of what could we have done better as a group, as a unit. We all take accountability for that, and we all want to get better, improve, so we can be more efficient as a unit.
So there's BryceYoung after the game, and again, quarterback speak, but I would expect nothing less from a guy at Alabama under Nick Saban to say the right things, and that's what he said after the game. And again, they were all the right things. But here's Frank Reich, I think, sticking his foot in his mouth, to your point about not really showing much, looking vanilla, having 0 points. There's a larger conversation about Matt Corral we'll get to here in a second.
Some of that was intentional, I know. I mean, I did see that he said that they kept it pretty vanilla.
Here's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that question because, right, I mean, it's hard. I mean, you don't like getting shut out and getting beat 27-0. But I have a lot of years in this league that tell me that preseason scores aren't the most meaningful thing. So not that we're not accountable for that, we are, but it's not the most important thing right now. It's just not. We're trying to evaluate our team. We're trying to, some of it is, listen, this is by design. I mentioned this the other day. We're very generic now. We did nothing, in our scheme, nothing. And that's not an excuse. I expected us to do a lot. So
what does that mean exactly? We did nothing, but I expected us to do a lot.
Yeah, that's
it's very confusing. There's more to this. I'll hit play in a second, but that's the part that he lost me. It's like, it's one thing. I agree. You didn't show anything. You did put BryceYoung in some interesting situations, being pinned.
Yeah.
Okay, I see why you put him back out there, because reps matter.
Yes.
This is the NFL.
Yes.
I like that plan. Give him the reps. Put him in those situations now where it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, you're like, well, we didn't show anything. Well, then how can you properly evaluate BryceYoung in that situation?
Right.
And then say, well, we didn't do anything. Like, well, how, what? So let's hear that again.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse. I expected us to do a lot. So
Yeah, so that was the confusing part for me. It's almost like he was like, "Whoa, we kept it pretty vanilla," but then he's like, "But I expected us to not." It was like, "But you expected them to not keep it vanilla?" I'm like, "Isn't that your call?
You're vanilla against that defensive line? Like, make that make sense."
Well, it's not even just that. To me, you don't want to give away your hand or whatever. You want to surprise everybody when the season starts. Okay, I'll go with you a little bit there. Okay, but at the same time, it's like, all right. It's like you said, how do you evaluate your entire offense then if you're just going out there and basically doing generic plays? Like if you're not running what you deem to be your offense essentially, and you're just kind of running standard vanilla whatever plays, then what exactly is going on then?
So he continues.
We kept it simple so that we could do a lot, so that we didn't have to think much, so that we could just evaluate one-on-one play. And so we need to do better there. But as a coaching staff, we really didn't make it. We weren't trying to put the guys in the best position, the whole game with.
Again,
Whoa.
We weren't putting in the best position. Why weren't you doing that?
Wait, no, don't say that. Don't. No.
So he continues.
Really in any phase. So I'm not saying that they were. I don't know what their game plan was. I just know what our philosophy has been, what my philosophy has been in preseason. And when you're a new coaching staff, I just don't want to show too much. But some teams don't.
Which, okay, that's fine. You don't want to show too much. Totally get that part. But then why are you like, well, we didn't do it?
I don't know what their game plan was.
The things we're going to do. And there's some of it I'm willing to take I'm willing to take it on the chin a little bit in preseason to hide some things that we're going to do in the regular season.
Okay. So he finally landed the plane. He finally landed the plane there at the end where he's like, look, I think he did. That was a 90-second clip where it went all over the place, and he finally brought it back to what he should have said in a 15-second clip. Look, man, I am willing to eat some turf.
Well, congratulations.
To not show anything in the preseason and just get some reps. Cool. But then the whole like, well, we didn't plan anything, but I expected us to do more. Whoa. No.
Well, the other part of that for me is this, right? Okay, that's cool. And I'm not putting this all on the offensive line. As we said, we don't know all of the reasons. But if you have your quarterback, your franchise quarterback, ostensibly out there taking hits like that regularly in the preseason because you're not trying. I mean, that's not the reason that he took hits, to be clear. It's like that they had a vanilla game plan. That's not the reason he's taking hits like that. No, but like, if you're trying to like keep him safe, I don't know, maybe just like, I don't know, some extra protection. I don't know. Just,
that would help.
Just put him in a glass case. I'm not sure.
But I'm not. What's funny is I think we all understand that the Panthers and we talked about this with Julian Council from Locked On Panthers last week. And the whole point of the conversation was veteran wide receiver groups, all that Mingo step, all that cool. His best friend or his best friends, the offensive line. It doesn't matter how good of a quarterback you are. If your offensive line is not good enough, it's going to be a long season. It doesn't matter if you're Joe Burrow. It doesn't matter if you're Patrick Mahomes.
Lamar Jackson, doesn't matter.
It does not matter. All right. And last year, towards the end, the Panthers' offensive line looked like it was capable enough. And I think
it looked better for sure.
And I think that's why you're seeing the reaction you're seeing at the offensive line, especially with Aquanu.
Yes.
Who really had, he had his early bumps, rookie bumps.
Yes, but he really kind of, and so like, am I going to say like, he's not good anymore? No, of course not. I'm not saying that. It's just like, for me, it's like, that's the top student in my class coming in, and whoa, where did that come from? Come on, Nikki.
The other thing to keep in mind too, and we're 14 minutes into this podcast, and we've been talking about the offensive line, and it's preseason for me too, I guess. We've talked 14 minutes, and I haven't pointed out that one of the key pieces to that offensive line, Austin Corbett.
Oh, they had people missing. I understand that. So, again, I think it was more, for me, the concern came from who struggled, not that the line struggled. It was a little bit, but I'm willing to pump the brakes a little, just saying, let's not get him hurt.
So what's the plan going forward in the preseason? Here is Frank Reich when it comes to BryceYoung, how many reps he's going to get before the start of the year.
We'll take it game by game. I don't want to overcommit to that. What we've talked about as a team, we need to do what it takes to get ready for our season opener. And we're committed as coaches and players to doing whatever we think that is. If that's playing a lot, then we'll play a lot. If that's, If we feel like, nope, we're good, we don't want to show anything, we feel confident in what we've been doing day to day in practice, and we want to try to save guys, then we'll make that decision. But right now, we've sent the message as coaches and players, be ready to play. And if we feel like it's the right thing to play a lot, we'll play a lot. If we feel like we need to stop, kind of sit back, we'll do that. And I respect the players because they're all bought into that. They're trusting that process and trusting us as a coaching staff to say, okay, let's get ready. The goal is to get ready for Atlanta and get ready for the regular season. So everything we're doing is geared around that.
So that's Frank Reich, head coach of the Carolina Panthers.
It's a balancing act right now, I feel like, in part because if you keep kind of serving up, I mean, I don't know why this phrase keeps coming, but like fart sandwiches in the preseason. After everything Panthers fans have dealt with, like a series of fart sandwiches for the last couple years, and then you ask people to show up and be excited, you know what I mean? That's one thing that you do risk, is you risk losing some of the excitement that you had coming into this, where it's like, new coach, there's reason for hope, is a competent front office. You know what I mean? Like that things are moving in the right direction. And maybe you could see people start to get a little concerned. But I mean, most people I don't think will be super concerned by the preseason. But at the same time, if you keep putting out performances like that, it will dampen at least some people's enthusiasm.
No, and I think we're there. After one game. And I do agree with how Frank Reich talked about we'll do it game by game. I think it was also series to series on Saturday in how they wanted to play BryceYoung. I'm pretty convinced that they probably had it 2 series for him, right? Comes out, they don't do anything with it. They convert a first down, and after that, and they has two 3-and-outs after that. I think after that second series where they went 3-and-out, they probably were in a position of, hey, let's go out there and again and see if we can make something happen. I don't think it was risky to do that. And then the rest of the way, it's let's see what you got in Matt Corral, because that's the other storyline of the preseason.
Yeah, because he barely played last year.
He got hurt in the preseason. Mm-hmm. We don't know what Matt Corral is capable of. I think we're getting an understanding this preseason of what he's not capable of. There's a reason why they brought Andy Dalton in to be the proper backup quarterback. Matt Corral, I think, was just to give him an opportunity to see if another team might want him. I'm not saying they're going to trade for him, but at least give him some reps to get some tape out there to see what he's actually about under this coaching staff, to see if there's something that he can do going forward. But based on what I saw, again, offensive line issues, second team, third team, all that stuff. But based on what I saw, I think he took 4 sacks in his play. Bless, man. Like I think
we coming off a Liz Frank. Like
I don't want to call it already because I think that's unfair to Matt Corral. But based on what I saw, like what are we doing here with Matt Corral? It's probably time to go in a different direction. They took a flyer on him, didn't cash. Move on. You've got Andy Dalton at this point because backup quarterbacks. You can find backup quarterbacks.
I didn't care for the flyer anyway.
No, I know that. Neither did I. Just to be clear, I did not believe that it.
I thought it was too high of a round to draft him for a flyer, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you.
No one asked me.
Housekeeping. All right, so we have official T-shirts now, Brownlow.
Awesome! I saw that.
Very excited about this. In fact, let me pull it up here on the real quick. So we have shout out to Jamie over at Breaking Tea. Known Jamie for a long time. When the blip happened, he reached out saying, "Hey man, we've talked in the past. You've helped us out with merch like this one, for instance, this Breaking T-shirt that I'm wearing right now. Respect Raleigh." When the whole discourse about the outdoor game and everything else, I was like, man, just slap Respect Raleigh on a T-shirt with a little hockey puck or whatever, and maybe that'll move. And I don't know. So anyway, I'm rocking it today. It's a comfortable T-shirt. Like so when it came around to finally getting some merch for us, I told Jamie, like, hey man, if we got some designs, what can we do? Sure enough, we got it. So if you go to breakingtea.com/OG, again, that's breakingtea.com/OG, it'll take you to our landing page. We have 4 T-shirts technically, because at the end of the playoff run, I had a little fun with the whole, the Carolina Hurricanes are bad for ratings. It's bad for ratings if they go far. Fine, slap it on a shirt and upset the Canadian media. So there's that bad for ratings shirt. So we got the Positive Vibes Only T-shirt. We got my inspiration was defunct teams for a defunct radio show, Brownlow.
Okay.
So if you notice, we have the We Laugh inspired World League of American Football inspired podcast shirt with OVIES and Giglio. And then it's fairly obvious what inspired the hockey version of the shirt when you see OVIES and Giglio and podcast and the puck and everything else. So go check that out. breakingtea.com/OG. Buy that t-shirt, and we'll greatly appreciate that because we get a percentage. That's kind of it's kind of the point.
Just keep it real.
let's keep it real. You buy shirts, we get a percentage. It's all good.
Everyone's happy.
Everybody, you get a comfy t-shirt. Everybody goes home happy, right? That's what it's all about. Other housekeeping notes. I am caught up on stickers, having mailed out stickers. So now that I have caught up, I'm putting the call out again if you want stickers. We have two kinds of stickers. We got the 5 stars only, and then we have the little crumpled up yellow pad with the OG logo on it. And if you want both, just tell me you want both. But in the subject line, email theoggoesdigital@gmail.com. Again, that's theoggoesdigital@gmail.com. In the subject line, put sticker, send me your address. Otherwise, I can't send it to you. I've had a couple people, I've had this like, hey, address, please. So send me your address, and I'll put that thing in the mail, and you'll get it eventually soon. And then I have to do something with the cups. Some people have I given you a color-changing cup yet?
No.
I got to give you one. My bad. Me on that one.
Yeah, seriously.
Me on that one. Yeah, sorry about that.
Thought I was a friend of the show.
You are a friend of the show, Brownlow.
Thank you.
I'll get you a color-changing cup.
Okay, I appreciate that.
What color do you want, by the way?
Well,
Like base color. I got like orange, yellow, green, blue. Then I got clear ones that then turn into a color. So something to think about.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Kind of intrigued by the clear one, since usually what I drink in there is clear anyway. Whether it's water or, something else.
Just make sure it's cold. Just make sure it's cold. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything.
Okay.
Shouts to Matt Davis, State Farm in Garner. If you go to theoginsurance.com, it'll actually take you to his landing page.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, theoginsurance.com. It'll take you to Matt's landing page. Or you can just give him a call, 919-779-8277. I've used State Farm for years. I don't think I've had any other insurance, come to think of it. So go to theoginsurance.com, find out more about Matt Davis. I've got my car and my home insurance through State Farm. I've never had any issues. I ride with them. So contact Matt. And I think Matt's also doing some stuff for us here at the OG. And speaking of t-shirts, shout out to Homefield, homefieldapparel.com. Brownlow, I know you're a big fan of Homefield apparel. How many Homefield shirts are you up to now?
I think I've got 4.
You got 4?
Tulanes, okay. Howling Cow, Anteaters, and I've got an NCA&T one.
I know you have. Do you not? You have the Tulane one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's like one of
my favorites.
That's one of their more popular shirts.
Yeah, I love that shirt.
Now, I will say this about homefieldapparel.com, and I actually have this shirt, and use the promo code OG23 to get 15% off your first order. There's a shirt that says, "Don't tweet at Croots." Okay.
Yeah.
Don't tweet at Croots.
I saw that actually. Yeah.
And I feel like this weekend is kind of a relevant thing or a relevant event to point that shirt out. Don't tweet at Croots. There was a couple of flips that happened this weekend.
Yeah.
So even locally, I think there was a guy who was supposed to go to Carolina, a wide receiver. I think he flipped to NC State. So everybody has, like, oh, this guy's going to be the guy. Oh, he's going to this school. He's terrible.
Right. Yeah,
it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't tweet at Croots, man. Just don't do it. And you can buy that shirt to remind yourself. So again, check out
multiple reasons.
A lot of reasons. So go to homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code OG23 for 15% off your first order. I know one of our listeners tweeted at us in a house divided for Wake Forest and NC State. That is a hell of a house divided, by the way.
I don't know that I've ever heard of that. Actually, growing up in North Carolina, I've heard of some Wake Carolina divide, Wake Duke. I don't think I've ever. I mean, I'm sure they obviously they exist, but Wake State, that's a new one.
It is one. So speaking of the ACC, it looks like things have calmed down. By the way, August 15th is tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. That's an important date because that's when grantor rights shenanigans tend to happen.
Oh, really?
If you're going to announce you're out, you got to do it by the 15th. Otherwise,
really,
you're in.
I didn't know. Oh, yeah. I didn't know there was a deadline.
Yeah. Look at all. It's pretty much precedent that's been set in the last 3 summers.
That's why expansion ends up being right around. Because I was going to say, every ACC kickoff, I feel like there's been some expansion.
Just because there's
recently.
a date. August 15th is that date.
Okay.
So, I mean, Florida State's got 24 hours to leave the ACC if I understand my rules correctly.
No, they've got it all sorted. They'll be out. No problem.
Remember, I've been told multiple times by Florida State fans that the grant of rights is not something that they're worried about. Okay, well then do it. Cut the check.
Right.
Unless you're waiting for that Saudi check to clear when they go private equity. So last week, there was a lot of drama related to what kind of vote was going to be taken on expansion. And Cal and Stanford were the two schools, and then SMU out of nowhere.
What?
But Cal and Stanford, the remaining...
Hey, we already had Louisville, whatever. No offense, Louisville. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. So Cal and Stanford were the points of obsession because they're what's left in the Pac-12. And it is telling that these two schools that the Big Ten didn't want and the Big 12 didn't want are suddenly ones that Jack Swarbrick, Notre Dame AD, who's on his way out, by the way, because he's going to be the guy heading up the college football playoff committee, or, you know, in charge of the college football playoff.
Lovely.
That this was from various quotes, including one from Heather Dinich, that he thought it would be a shame because he was apparently pushing for it hard. Larry Williams over at Tiger Illustrated was the first to report that Notre Dame was the one that was really pushing for Cal and Stanford hard. They have an annual with Stanford, so that would make sense. But Swarbrick, I'm paraphrasing here from Heather Dinich's tweet, was that, you know, it's just a shame that these two athletic departments would be left behind, and we'd have to do something about this.
You know,
what are we doing here, Lauren?
He's right. It really would be a shame. And I think in normal circumstances, it'd be amazing if the ACC had like a better TV deal, you know, with like more money per school. And then they would be in a really great position to be able to add a couple teams and it really not impact their bottom line as much. And in fact, maybe even enhance the product. But, oh, I'm sorry. Wait, they can't do that. They can't get a new TV deal. And they can't have any value added to their product that would get them a new and better TV deal. I could think of something that could happen to maybe improve that. Maybe, you know what? If I tell Jack Swarbrick, what do you think he'll say about Notre Dame coming in? Do you think that would help just as a full-time member? He's so concerned, you know, with Stanford and Cal. I just wouldn't want him to have that on his conscience of those two fine, upstanding academic and athletic institutions being left out in the cold to starve. What would he do?
Yeah.
How would he live with himself? So maybe just let him know that if they just join the league, the ACC will be able to go back to the table and be like, hey, more money now. And then they could have them in no problem.
But their independence is very important to them, Lauren.
Well, that's too bad. Somebody should tell Jack that's just the way it has to be then for now because everyone's poor.
I am curious.
Just the absolute gall. But to say something like that
that's college athletics.
But it's just like I can't imagine knowing that literally my school is the reason that they don't have, you know, that they can't. It's at least a huge reason, right? Yeah. That they can't renegotiate at the television table and being like, wait, why can't we take on 2 extra mouths to feed? This doesn't impact my football bottom line at all, but I'm just saying it'd be the right thing to do. Excuse me, sir, you do your own charity. How about that?
So I've been arguing with people over the last couple of weeks when the topic about expansion has come up, and the argument has been the ACC's reacting. They should have been proactive, and my argument has always been why. What are you ultimately adding?
You want to make that argument about an Oregon? I will listen to you at least a little bit because I think that's maybe one of the only other schools that could have added at least some value. Stanford and Cal ain't it, y'all. That's not adding any value. And all you are doing, you're not just adding, you have more schools. That means more money. That's not how this math works, people.
Now, you know it's bad. You know it's bad when Cal and Stanford reportedly would take huge pay cuts to join the conference. And that really the only reason the conversation,
that would be the only reason it would make sense.
The only reason why the conversation went as far as it did is that Cal and Stanford were willing to come in at a deep discount. The analogy that I've used, and this analogy would work with you too, is like you already have enough graphic tees, but
never do.
But they have a sale. Oh man, like I was at Target and they had like a buy 3 get 1 free. Might as well take advantage of it, right?
Yeah. No, I don't get me started on this.
So I'm the worst. But that's essentially what the ACC would be doing. It's actually what the Big Ten ended up doing with the remaining Pac-12 schools. It was, we already have enough teams. We already have the teams from the Pac-12 that we want, but you're saying I can get these at a deep discount? Well, why not? I might as well add a few more. You never know when you might need them. Like shout out to Will, former coworker. He basically has a polo in every color. It's the same polo in different colors because he likes the polo.
Yeah.
So he gets them on discount. So might as well. It ain't broke. Might as well do it. So that's why you're adding them. So the reason why the conversation went as far as it did was because Cal and Stanford were willing to defer basically come in to play for free. And they're like-minded institutions. That's something that we talked about with Holden Thorpe last week. I was talking with a friend at the pool yesterday. He was asking me all these questions, and I said, look, man, I'm not sitting here trying to like pimp the podcast to you. I'm not saying
it's just you can get your answers.
You can get all the answers you need out of our conversation with Holden Thorpe and how these things ultimately play out.
Right.
Why schools like Cal and Stanford and the presidents who all know each other would look out for them, like why Jack Swarbrick would say what he's saying.
But the other thing is that, and they are like-minded institutions. Yes. I get that part and blah, blah, blah. However, then you have to account for the whole going to California a bunch of times things for the other sports. You have to remember this does not just impact. And it's one thing if they bring you a lot of value. That's the thing. If it enhances your product, then you can say, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. Those schools do not enhance the ACC's product now. I'm sorry, they don't. Stanford, you could if you want to make a case for, okay, I can maybe see it, but that's about it. Like Cal isn't enhancing anybody. No offense, Cal. Sorry.
So there were 4 schools that voted against
Aaron
it.
Rodgers,
Again, this is another conversation that ties back into our interview with Holden Thorpe and how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
Holden Thorpe told us about the time in which they wanted to add schools. They didn't have enough votes. And they didn't even take it to vote because Holden Thorpe said the minute that vote's taken, it'll leak. It'll end up on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Including like who voted where.
And who did what.
Yep.
And that's exactly what played out at the end of the week where there was a vote taken. So they didn't even want to take it to vote. It's like until we get unanimous, we're not taking a vote. So at the time, it was Florida State and Virginia. The way Holden Thorpe explained it back in 2012, 2013, it was that Florida State was being Florida State. Like Florida State hasn't really changed much in how they go about things in the last 10 years. They're the squeaky wheel. So Swafford goes down there. He, builds him up Buttercup. And then next thing you know, they got the vote. Virginia was a little bit more complicated because it was a difference of opinion in politics on the Board of Trustees and their school president, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Board of Visitors, I believe is how Virginia describes their BOT. Remember, it's not a campus, Brownlow. It's the grounds.
Visitors.
I think it's the Board of Visitors.
Sounds like a tourism board.
Text Caroline. I bet she knows what they call it up there. Up in Charlottesville.
I'm not touching this one. I'm not touching.
Different. Things are just different up in Charlottesville.
Yes, they are.
So they didn't even get to a vote because unless it was unanimous, they didn't want it leaking out because then you have drama. Well, you're seeing it spill out this way. So reportedly, it was Florida State and Clemson, North Carolina, and NC State.
Oh, look at them.
Look at State.
Besties.
Look.
Oh, guys.
We keep having this conversation, and there is an understanding between the two. And I think a lot of it has to do with the NCGA. But I would also maintain that Bubba Cunningham is the adult in the room in these cases. So when Bubba's voting against it, my guess is Boo's like, yeah, man, I'm with you too. That's
I was going to say,
numbers
Boo
here.
Corrigan's a level-headed guy as well.
Yes, very, very, very level-headed guy.
They're a lot of
those two make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Florida State and Clemson. Clemson makes sense to me. Florida State doesn't because here's what you want to go. Let's go Game of Thrones, right?
Okay.
Who was the character that said chaos is a ladder?
I don't know, Littlefinger maybe?
Was it Littlefinger?
I don't know.
Okay,
Sounds like something he would say.
I think it was Littlefinger who said chaos is a ladder. Florida State has been the agent of chaos this entire time. So why wouldn't they want to add Cal and Stanford to then trigger or at least make sure that somebody else votes for them? They dissent because remember, you need 12 of 15 to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
They had 4 against instead of 3. So that's why it didn't happen. If I'm Florida State, I'm lobbying somebody like NC State or whoever to be like, no. We're against it, but I can see why this would work out for you. So if you want to do it, go ahead and vote for it. In behind the scenes, Florida State wanting it to happen so that they can argue what you just said. This does nothing for our league. It actually devalues our contract.
And so they can, right.
I take that to court and say, hey, look, we voted against this. We did not want this. We feel that the travel and the stature of the schools that they're adding do not benefit us in any way. And I feel like that breaks the grant of rights, and we're going to negotiate our way out. That is me going full chaos mode, which I guess Florida State wasn't thinking that way.
Honestly, you
got to think crazy. That's the thing. Like people are like, oh, well, grant of rights. And I'm like, y'all have forgotten that Florida State's just the crazy girlfriend right now, the crazy boyfriend. They're the crazy significant other. And you're just like, well, they're outsmarting you with crazy. All right. So you have to think that way.
Are they outsmarting anyone?
Maybe not. Maybe they're just pounding.
We don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't know.
Well, it remains to be seen. Perhaps.
Maybe.
However, like we've just heard them say, "Oh, we got this." Like, have we heard how?
So I want to get back to. I do want to get back before we move on to mixtape and everything else. I do want to get back to staying put, not doing anything, and it's actually something that our friend Dimitri pointed out in his latest college football bubble bath. He did it in about 90 seconds versus me doing this over the course of multiple shows. And he put it succinctly, with every expansion, there's going to be a contraction. And we see this in every level of business and entertainment.
Yeah.
Things overheat, they break up, repeat the process.
Yep.
And the Big Ten is way too bloated right now. And all the teams in the Big 18 are not going to contribute the way that Ohio State, Michigan, et cetera want. The SEC is probably in a good spot right now at 16, but there's going to come a time at the next television negotiation where they're wondering, well, why are we paying Vanderbilt this amount of money? And they're all getting equal share. And the Big Ten is like, why is Rutgers getting this money?
If geography stops mattering, which I think we could all argue it already has,
yes,
then you're going to start looking into kind of letting go of your less valuable members.
Now, you can't kick a school out because you're just asking for a lawsuit.
Right.
However, you can renegotiate the next television deal that, hey, this school, you're not going to be getting a full share. You're going to be getting a reduced share because this is the value that you bring.
This is what makes me crazy, though, because it's like, why don't, at the end of the day, and I know it's going to take a lot more doing than just me saying this, but at the end of the day, the solution for all of this is probably just let everyone negotiate their own TV rights.
Well, I think what's going to happen is that the elite level schools are going to get to a point where they're going to leave and create their own super league, and conferences go back to a regional nature for basketball and everything else.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I mean. Honestly, if football did its own thing, cool. But again, these types of changes, adding like a Stanford and Cal, they impact every other sport. Like, it's ridiculous.
So I believe that's where we're headed. The Super League, these elite schools putting together a 24-team conference of football schools that do their own thing, and everybody else kind of reallocates to more regional play.
Hey, both Carolina and State used to be a part of an SEC. Then it was like 27 teams or something. It included teams like Sewanee and stuff like that. I mean, it's
like, why do you think the ACC exists?
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
So I think that's where things are headed. And this gets us back to Notre Dame. We'll end the conversation how we started the conversation with our friends in South Bend. Does Notre Dame want to wait this out?
Yeah.
In terms of television contracts?
I would.
Or do they just join the ACC and go forward? Now, we don't know what the college football playoff is going to look like because Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, has openly talked about, well, we did this under the premise that there's a Power 5. Do we even have a Power 5 anymore with the Pac-12's demise? Should we do the top 6 conference teams?
Right.
And then at larges, or do we go all at large? Of course, if you're the SEC, you want all at larges.
Yep.
If you're the Big Ten, you want all at larges. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So does Notre Dame are they included in that?
Yes.
I don't know. But the television deal for Notre Dame is going to change significantly as well, because the Pac-12, we'll put a bow on it like this. The reason why the Pac-12 imploded is because the presidents got hubris in terms of what they thought they were worth.
Yeah.
They went to ESPN, according to John Canzano, who's been writing about the Pac-12 for a very long time.
Yes.
He is essentially the David Teal of the Pac-12.
Yes, 100%.
All right. Canzano wrote a story over the weekend where the Pac-12 presidents wanted like $50 million from ESPN, like get them up with everybody else. ESPN said, no, you're worth 30. And they're like, psh, what are you talking about? They said no. And then ESPN said,
how are they so
bye.
naive?
Don't know. So they go to Apple.
I could have told them it would work out that way. Now pay me like $250,000 for a consulting fee.
They go to Apple. They find out they're going to get maybe 2025. That's incentive laden.
Yeah.
And now we're here. And now we're here. And it's because presidents think they're worth more than they actually are worth. And that's what Notre Dame might be finding out with NBC soon, where their next television contract might not be over the air. They might be on Peacock. And they don't know if Notre Dame wants to be on a streaming network. I don't know.
Or do they want to start their own streaming network?
Well, that's, as we're finding out, honestly, we're beyond that, because as we found out, it's much harder and more expensive for teams to do that.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 found this out in the last 10 years. They tried to go their own way with the network.
Yeah.
They couldn't get clearance. They didn't have leverage. It was expensive.
No, it was a mess.
And then now, again, that adds to why the Pac-12 is in the position that they're in. Shout out to Hometown Realty for sponsoring OVIES and Giglio. We need somebody to buy a home or sell a home through Hometown.
Okay.
Like that's like our next goal. We've had people buying sandwiches. We got people getting coffee and gas. We got all sorts of stuff, buying pizzas. We need somebody to get to Hometown and buy or sell a home. They got so many agents across the area. They can navigate all these things for you, as competitive as this market can be. Check them out online at myhtr.com. I also feel like we need to catch up with our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. They got locations across North Carolina. All the G's are included, handling all sorts of law. I feel like we have to have a super secret grant of rights conversation again. We have to get our hands on that newish grant of rights, not the old one that everybody's seen. But Whitaker and Hamer has helped us out with that. They can help out with your legal needs. Again, check them out at wh.lawyer. Have you been keeping up with the mixtape, Brownlow? We brought it back.
I did see, I think I saw that y'all brought it back, but no, I haven't been keeping up with it.
We brought it back, and we are putting the call out to listeners. We got Daniel joining us now. What's up, Daniel? How you doing, man? Oh, wait, Daniel's muted. Hold on a second. Let's try this again. You have to. There we go, Daniel. You unmuted yourselves. What's going on?
Not much.
Have you played? Did you play mixtape in a previous life?
I never played. Okay. Just in the car.
All right. So we're doing mixtape a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
yeah, that's one way of putting it. So we don't have the rights to play the music. So we've gotten some of our friends to read lyrics from songs dramatically. Okay. We've had Wade Minter, Carolina Hurricanes PA voice.
Okay.
He did Fresh Prince Summertime. That was pretty incredible. And Travis Quinn, the PA announcer for NC State.
Awesome.
He did It's Getting Hot in Here.
Oh, boy.
Hearing him say, good gracious, ass is bodacious in his PA voice was fantastic. So we've got Travis again, and I'm going to play this song for you, Daniel, where he's going to read these lyrics, and you're going to have to give us the name of the song. In this particular case, I will take the artist, if you know the artist. I don't have to get the name of the song. If you just know the artist, I'll take it. Are you ready?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
I'm drunk in the back of the car, and I cried like a baby coming home from the bar. Said, I'm fine, but it wasn't true. I don't want to keep secrets just to keep you. And I snuck in through the garden gate every night that summer just to seal my fate. And I scream, for whatever it's worth, I love you. Ain't that the worst thing you ever heard?
There you go. You got something for me, Daniel?
I have nothing. Taylor Swift.
You did it! You got it! There it is! That was a wonderful guess, Daniel.
What song is it?
That's Cruel Summer.
Yeah.
Off of
off of
Lover. That's the bridge. That's what everybody sings at the concert. It's like I'm looking in the back of the car. That's the one. It's on the radio all the time. It gets stuck on my head. There it is, man. You got it, Daniel.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Lifetime refills at Breeze Through. That's the thing. Gotta love it. I guess the question is, how are you gonna get this thing, man? You want to come up and get it?
Sure. Let me know.
I'll shoot you an email. All right, Daniel. Appreciate it, man. Congratulations. You got yourself a tumbler, my man.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. That is the mixtape. And he's got that Breeze Through. Did you know it, Brownlow?
Yes.
You knew it?
Well, as you know, I have two friends that you also know that are very big Swifties.
Yes.
And they're very much taking me through this like educational tour of like all things Taylor, including her personal life and how it might be influenced by lyrics. So I know there are theories as to who that song is about. So that's what made me think of that.
So she's re-releasing 1989.
I saw that. Yeah. And they will be very excited. I meant to send them congratulatory texts about that because we'd literally just been talking about it and they were like, it needs to happen really soon.
I will admit that's the album that got me into Taylor Swift.
Okay.
So, like the singles before that,
Yeah,
pop. I like pop Taylor Swift.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I like Midnight's Taylor Swift.
I would consider that pop.
Oh, fair enough.
Taylor Swift. And 1989 was like her true pop breakthrough. Not that she didn't have hits, not that she wasn't popular, but that album was so huge.
I like her a little edgier than some of the early pop stuff, but that's just me.
Fair enough. So anyway, that she's re-releasing this, I'm intrigued by. But I do think it's funny that she's so popular that a song that wasn't released as a single when it came out off of Lover has become a song of the summer in 2023 because of the tour.
Yes. I was surprised it was. I mean, to me, it had single written. Like, I mean, it was the first time I heard the song. I was like, this is a bop.
It is. So your Taylor Swift journey?
I mean, listen, I've always liked her fine. I never disliked her, but I just you know how it is with the Swifties it's different.
It is different.
And it's like, they know the numerology behind Taylor.
With the 89
all
thing,
of the
right?
theory. Yeah. Like all the theory. Yeah. Cause they said it adds up to 13
all
somehow.
sorts of crazy
I don't know.
stuff.
Like 13's her big number.
She's a witch.
Well, they never told me that part.
No, she's totally a witch.
That's fine.
Which is fine. That's cool. I'm just saying she's a witch.
Okay.
Good for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for her. Oh, I saw your parents at Wyndham.
I know.
I was on your dad's home turf.
I know that.
I was funny watching him operate. I mean, I've only seen your parents. Like anytime I see your parents, usually it's like at a function, maybe it's at your place or whatever. I'll see him at the Smith Center from time to time. But seeing your dad at Sedgefield was hilarious.
As you called him, he's like the mayor.
He is the mayor. He is the mayor. He's just like, he's just chilling. He knows everybody. He has stories, all that kind of stuff. I didn't realize they actually had met. Your mom and your dad had met there at the golf course. He told us that story too.
And he roasted her. That's how he got her on a date, because he started making fun. He negged her, I guess. Not really. He was joking. Like, he wasn't trying to do that. That's just my dad. He's a kidder.
He is a kidder. He is a kidder.
We watched that we sat down and watched as a family his radio appearance, because we were all hanging out in Myrtle Beach this past weekend. My brother and his family and me and mine. So yeah.
Although, should I refer to your dad as Ice?
Oh my God, this is so.
Because you're hanging out. You're hanging out with your parents.
I know that my mom doesn't care about this, because she literally told me to put a poll on Twitter.
Okay.
And that's what I'm calling it forever. So I don't care. But anyway, yeah, like basically I happened to see her phone, and I see that she has like my dad in this text thread listed as capital I, like space C space E hyphen hubby. And I'm like, what is that? My brother and I both like, ICE? Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm thinking like ICE, like the government agency. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? Wait, what? And she's like,
it's like, your dad, did your dad change jobs? I wasn't aware of it.
She looks at us like we were born on like Mars or something. She's like, in case of emergency. Yeah. And I'm like, my brother and I are both literally like, never heard of that. And like everybody else in the room, besides my parents, like, what? No, we have no idea what that is. And she's like, that's common knowledge. And we were like, Mom, we've both been alive a little bit. Okay, thank you. I've
never heard of that.
Turns out, so I put it on Twitter basically, because she wanted confirmation, or I won, but it was closer than I thought. Apparently it's like a military thing and a boomer thing, which I did let my mom know. She's like, well, that's fine. It's boomer thing, I guess. Because apparently other boomer parents have their spouse listed that way.
Okay.
Like ICE in case of emergency. I was like, wouldn't that be like EC, like emergency contact? Or couldn't you just put that on Apple to where they know? Because that's what she was saying, like in case something happens and someone finds your phone, then they know.
But how are they going to unlock the phone? No, because that's
I don't know.
That's a question I would ask. Like, if I wasn't in an accident last July.
Yeah.
But my phone was, and I was
and
fine.
You were okay. Yeah.
I was fine. I mean, I still got some airbag burns on my arm, but that's neither here nor there. And I was able to call. But if I was to say I was knocked out,
right?
I had a concussion or something like that, I was knocked out. Like, there's no way they would have been able to open up my phone.
I think that they can.
Is there a way to do that? Like, you can open up the camera. You can open up the flashlight.
Well, because you can put stuff in your health app that's like your emergency contact and stuff like that.
And the health app.
And you can put like your medical conditions in there and stuff like that, so that they know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how do they access the health app?
I don't know that.
These are questions I have to ask.
I'm sure there must be a way for like emergency personnel to be able to at least look at the health without like getting in. Like you can get in the camera without getting in the phone. I wonder if there's a way to.
I don't know, honestly. But then again, I got to the point now with the phone where
I assumed you would know this.
No, I don't. I really do not know. As I've got as I gotten older, it pains me to say this, but ultimately I just need a device that takes good pictures.
Yeah.
Although now that the kids are older, I'm not taking as many pictures as I used to. But that was the most important thing for me. I needed the new camera so I can get good pictures of the kids doing stuff. Right.
Right.
And then I also needed it for work to take pictures too. Right? We're at events, ACC tournament, a Final Four, at a football game or whatever it is. So the phone really just became a communication device in that way. It is no way, shape, or form like the central hub for anything else. My laptop is, but not my phone.
Okay.
Okay. Like if I was to lose my phone, it would suck, but I would survive. I don't have everything tied into my phone. Laptop, on the other hand, now I'm having a panic attack.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm also the same person, to show you how old I am these days. You know, I have names on my phone, not nicknames, not emojis.
Right.
I just have names. So like you're on my phone as Lauren Brownlow.
Right. Not Brownlow.
Not even Brownlow. Kelly is Kelly OVIES on the phone. I was, and Kelly roasts my ass for this all the time.
My parents for a while were first and last name, but I changed my mom.
Okay, so you were in the same boat as me.
Yeah.
Because Kelly roasts me all the time with this, where she's like, you still have your parents as Ernie and Dilly, both combined? I'm like, yeah, it had all their numbers on it. It had the home, the landline, and their 2 cell phones. Of course, that created some confusion because I didn't know who was calling.
Right.
So I separated my mom from my dad. So she just goes under her name.
Yeah.
And my dad is still Ernie and Dilly as the main house contact.
Okay. Well,
and the
that's
same thing with my in-laws too, where it's Brian and Marcia. And then Marcia has her own contact. I've left it at that. So I know when my father-in-law is calling or my dad's calling based on the full name.
All right, you deserve to be roasted for now. Fine. You're almost making things harder on yourself. On purpose.
There was also some like couples, like friends, that it's the same boat. Like it was like because that's how I had it in the Christmas card list, and that's how it would show up on my contacts.
I see.
So it'd be like Brian and Kate.
Right.
It would be Lauren and Howard. Some friends that we have up in Philly. Like that's how it would show up. And eventually I had to break those out.
Right.
But that's how old these contacts are, because they came over from my MacBook contacts.
Yeah.
And then you sync them up.
But you do like legit. It's almost more work to like change it to make somebody who has a nickname. Like you have to like go back in and change the name, because it feels like you have to put the first and last name in, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it feels.
I feel that way too.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just I barely have any nicknames on the phone.
And for some reason, do you have it? This is one of those things where I don't know if.
Do I have a picture?
You have a picture, and if it's you in my car from a drive-through.
Yes.
Is that your contact? You're wearing the little like
ACC like as a kerchief, like as a sad.
You get like the babushka thing.
The babushka, right? Yeah.
So that's the contact you have that goes out to everybody.
What's wrong with that?
No, I'm just asking.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if that was in my phone like that.
No.
Or that was the case.
That's my picture. Yeah. Okay. That's my picture that I've chosen to represent myself. Correct.
I just wanted to double check if that was something that I did, because I'm really showing how old I am and out of touch. If I'm like, did I do that? Is that the contact she sent?
I don't even know you anymore. I feel like this is so crazy that like you don't know how to like work an iPhone the way you used to. Like you used to tell me how to work my phone.
I can still do that.
Okay,
Thank you very
enough.
much.
All
also,
right.
look around you. This is still me. You think Giglio set this up?
No, I know that. I was gonna say it's not like Giglio's helping you in the technology department.
No.
So
yeah, actually, he texted me on Saturday. He's like, "Hey, man," because he talked to James Smith Williams for Law of the Wolf.
That made me so happy to see. I love James.
I know you love him. So so he sent me. He's like, "Hey, man, his audio is really low. Can you fix that up?" I'm like, "Yeah, not a problem." So I had to fix that on Sunday morning. But yeah, it's over his head. You got to get an audition. You got to like manipulate some stuff.
I understand. I've tried on my own a little bit with some of that audio stuff. That's no joke. I could probably learn to edit videos quicker than figuring out how to do audio stuff. It's not easy.
Okay. Audio.
You get the hang of it, but it takes a lot of practice.
It does take a lot of practice to get the audio right. Yes. You're absolutely right about that. And even I know I have a ways to go when it comes to learning all this stuff. As I mentioned, we gave away a Breeze Through Lifetime Refill tumbler on Mixtape. So shout out to Daniel. You can get one yourself. I think it's $20. Just go buy any Breeze Through and go get yourself one. You can get coffee, you get cool drinks, all that good stuff thanks to Breeze Through. We are going to be out at Breeze Through in September. We'll have more details soon, but we'll be doing a show from a beer cave.
Oh,
perfect time to do it in September in the middle of the heat. But yeah, I think it's the weekend before NC State Notre Dame.
Okay.
That week, we're going to be in a beer cave there by PNC Arena, Carter Finley Stadium.
Yeah.
Really excited about that.
Nice.
Giglio will be in his setting. He'll have his hoodie on. He'll be cold. He'll be happy.
Yeah, he likes to wear the hoodie.
He loves to wear the hoodie.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, drop by any brews through, get that lifetime refill tumbler, get the snacks, get the beer, and of course, gas, the most important thing. And shout out to everybody who's been tweeting us their gains, their acquisitions at Butcher's Market, locations across the triangle. The people have really been turned on to the steak and cheese sandwich. They also have other sandwiches at Butcher's Market. Not every place has fries. I know my location there on Millbrook and Falls of the News does do French fries seasoned.
Okay, that's good
really,
to know,
really
because that would also be my location.
And it's also important to know, too, as we're getting closer to the start of the football season, you got to start thinking about your tailgates. And they have everything that you would need for grilling. Yes, they have the meats. That's important. They have the meats. But they also have the charcoal, the wood to smoke, the seasoning, the sauces, sides, beer, wine, all that stuff. They all have it at Butcher's Market. So go check them out. We thank them for sponsoring OVIES and Giglio. Speaking of the start of the football season, 2 weeks away from week 0 in college football. And we're getting, I actually had forgotten about this. And it wasn't until recently where the NCAA and Jim Harbaugh have been having this back and forth. Are you familiar with what's going on at Michigan and Jim Harbaugh?
A little bit.
Because I'd forgotten about it. So it turns out that there was some sort of a secondary violation, not one of those top level 1 violations.
That they've done a good job of branding as cheeseburger, because that's how I know it.
Yes. So this goes back to the pandemic, where it had something to do with impermissible visits, some workouts.
Or benefits on a visit or something.
Yeah, benefits on a visit. Something was related to a cheeseburger, right? And this is from Dan Wetzel's column on Yahoo Sports. The deal between Michigan, Harbaugh, and the NCAA's enforcement staff still needed to be approved by a 3-person panel made up of the NCAA's Committee on Infractions. They declined. So there was this negotiated settlement that Harbaugh was going to miss the first 4 games of this upcoming season.
Right.
Now, the reason why it got elevated to these level 1 violations was because Harbaugh was not being cooperative on answering questions about level 2 violations. So he made it worse for himself by being Jim Harbaugh. All right.
At the same time, it's the NCAA. Doesn't ever help you to cooperate. But I hear you.
It never does.
They don't like it when you don't either, so it's a whole thing.
And as we're also coming to find out too,
they can't prove anything on you.
They can't prove anything, right?
So,
So apparently this negotiation broke down. They didn't approve it. And Michigan and Harbaugh have actually been really tight-lipped about it. They're doing what's been asked of them. And you brought up the cheeseburger. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the cheeseburger.
That's how I'd heard it characterized.
But now this is the Streisand effect, and the NCAA has now brought more attention to it by responding. So the NCAA can't even follow its own rules. And that's why I think this is a story. Yeah. They went from shoulder shrug, whatever. Usually the NCAA loses in these cases. But now, I don't know, maybe they're lashing out because they realize they don't have any power, but they released a statement to Nicole Auerbach of The Athletic.
The statement was okay, wow.
So here is what NCAA Vice President Derek Crawford said, and it was tweeted out by Nicole Auerbach. The Michigan infractions case is related to impermissible on and off-campus recruiting during COVID-19 dead period and impermissible coaching activities, not a cheeseburger. Quote.
Did he have his nose straight in the air the entire time he said that? Because does he really think that the average person hears that sentence and goes, oh, now we understand the gravity of it all?
So Michigan cannot comment.
Right. Jim
Harbaugh cannot comment. They have straight up said, we cannot comment. Okay.
I don't even know where the cheeseburger thing came from in the first place. Then.
Okay. That's the point that Wetzel points out. And that's the one thing that I had to learn too. That cheeseburger conversation started because of message boards. And here we have an NCAA vice president responding to message boards. Okay.
Oh, honey.
Responding to message boards. That's like you said, how did this cheeseburger become a thing? Michigan has not made any statements about it. Harbaugh has not made any jokes. And Harbaugh, this is the man who wears khakis and drinks milk and wants to eat steak. He'll make a comment. He didn't say anything about cheeseburgers. So somebody over at the NCAA is reading tweets extremely online and felt the need to respond to this. That is a terrible look A terrible look on the NCAA's part.
Yes.
Which just adds to the pile of questions of why do we have the NCAA now? So you can negotiate a settlement between a head coach and you for supposed infractions. But Tez Walker, you're going to deny that at North Carolina? The guy over at Florida State, you're going to deny that too?
Yeah.
When those are cases that actually have some logic to them, that
right.
Tez Walker should be playing. He did do the right things. He only played one season of actual football, or 2 seasons. He only played at one place at Kent State, but you want to tag him on a double transfer, which, by the way, you implemented after he announced his transfer.
Right.
So come on, guys. What are we doing here? But you have the wherewithal.
You know what they're doing.
You have the wherewithal to get on Twitter and know about cheeseburgers.
They want because they're like petty tyrants at this point.
Yes.
Right. And so like they used to start, they had been recently starting to kind of like fall in line with what public opinion was, I feel like, more and more, and be like, okay, let's not do anything too crazy. People think, we should do this. Let's not get involved here. They wanted to kind of do, I think, the right thing by people and keep their noses down, I guess, so to speak, the NCAA. But now it's like, I think they're getting mad that they don't, like, everyone's blaming them for the fact that the transfer portal's out of control and NIL's out of control and everything else. And I think that now they're just like trying to exert whatever little authority they still have. I mean, it's a bad look too, to have like your one group of your people negotiate a settlement and then the other group be like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not a good look. It doesn't look like y'all know what you're doing.
Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority, they know what they're doing.
Yes.
I use Mosquito Authority in my backyard, and as the summer has been gross, there's been a lot of rain, a lot of moisture, a lot of heat. That's prime for mosquitoes. Well, guess what? And my kids are in the backyard all the time when they get bored with video games. Mosquito Authority helps keep that in check. And because it's hot, you got little critters that are trying to get in the house, seeking that moisture, roaches, ants, etc. Pest Authority can check that out for you. Check them out online at bugsbite.com. Again, that's bugsbite.com. So, I don't know. Mosquitoes, to me, they are attracted to me for some reason.
Interesting.
On a very in a very specific place too. My ankles.
Yeah.
It's always my ankles, not the arm, not the neck.
Interesting.
I'm out for a little bit, and if I'm like, especially in like deep in the backyard, if I got to go do some yard work, like this is a place that not a lot of, there's no reason to go back there for Mosquito Authority. They're hanging out, they're hanging out in the patio. But if I'm out there, they go right after my ankles every single time.
Maybe that's because like, you have like a decent amount of leg hair, right?
Yeah.
So that's like right where it ends, and they're like, "Ooh, there's a spot."
Not gonna get caught
there's
up there.
There's a spot to jump on.
Not gonna get caught up in there.
Right.
Not gonna get trapped. Yeah, maybe that's the case. So check them out online, bugsbite.com. Also, Oak City Sports Cards sponsoring the OG. You can check them out downtown Raleigh. Oak City Sports Cards, buy, sell, grade, trade. Grade is the most important thing. You might not know what you're sitting on. And unless you get that graded, you're not going to know what it's truly worth. Just don't put it up on eBay, guesswork. Could be a heck of a lot more valuable than you think, but there's only one way to find out. Take your cards to Oak City Sports Cards and get those things graded. And they also have some other fun stuff. It's not just baseball cards, football cards, Pokemon cards, Garbage Pail Kids, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out. Go to Oak City Sports Cards. So there's a little bit of breaking news as we are recording the show.
Oh.
And it's related to James Harden.
Uh-oh.
So James Harden signed a contract with the 76ers, but he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't like Daryl Morey. So he's doing this tour in China as part of his shoe deal. And he straight up called Daryl Morey a liar. And he's like, and I'll say it again if you didn't hear me the first time. Daryl Morey is a liar.
Okay.
So this is going to be the dominant conversation nationally once you get past a lot of preseason football stuff. I only bring this up because James Harden has to be the number one athlete in getting out of situations in the messiest way possible. Like, I don't want to be here. And rather than just quietly exiting, he finds ways to do it as messy as possible, not showing up to work out, looking disinterested in playing games, now straight up looking into the camera with a microphone in hand and saying, he's a liar and I'm not going to play for an organization that he's a part of.
Mm.
Meanwhile, Joel Embiid's like, man, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? What do I got to do here? All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe questions brought to you by Oakwood Pizza Box. Check them out online at oakwoodpizzabox.com. or you can give them a call at 919-594-1605. We're going to have OG Pizza Night coming up here pretty soon. That'll be a lot of fun. There's going to be a certain football game on a Monday night that we're going to have listeners come out and hang out and eat pizza and watch the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta be a little vague though about which football game it is.
Okay.
Just slightly vague. No big deal.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Terry. Hey, Joe, who should the Panthers take with the first overall pick?
Stop. God. An offensive lineman, am I right? Let's go.
It's just one preseason.
Well, I'm going with the preseason panic theme.
All
okay.
Right. All right.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Offensive lineman.
That's what it is. Although offensive linemen, like goalies in the NHL, offensive linemen sometimes it's like voodoo. So I don't know. Who knows?
Especially tackles.
All right, let's go to Triangle Sports Ball. Hey, Joe. Hey, Brownlow. What NC college town had the best main drag and when? We talking like Hillsborough Street, Franklin Street type of thing? 9th Street?
9th Street.
Out in Durham for Duke?
Oh, man. This is tough because like they've all changed so much, I'm sure, since like even we were in school, right?
Yes.
But you've been to both places and I will be accused of being biased.
Franklin Street is better than Hillsborough Street.
Okay. I mean, I enjoyed Franklin Street quite a bit.
Straight up.
Just lots of things to do and variety and stuff like that. At least when I was in school, it was less corporate.
Thank you. Because I think that's where I'm at right now. In that Franklin Street, when Kelly was at UNC.
Because Hillsborough Street might be a little bit more of that vibe now.
Maybe. Although Hillsborough Street, there's a couple problems here with this conversation. The first one is NC State is, and this will make sense, I hope, for people. NC State is a university that's in a city.
Yes.
Chapel Hill's in a town that's in a university.
Yeah,
okay?
100%. That's it. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So when I was at NC State from 97 to 01, Hillsborough Street wasn't really active.
You guys didn't like go every Thursday night or something to go?
There were spots.
Yeah.
You know, you had Pantana Bob's.
Sure.
You had East Village, RIP East Village. But it wasn't like Hillsborough Street was this, and Hillsborough Hike was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that.
They didn't go there like on Halloween, or did they?
No, people would go to Chapel Hill for Halloween.
Oh,
or they go out to Greenville. They go out to Greenville for Halloween.
Oh boy, I bet that's
Yes. So downtown, but if you wanted to go somewhere, you could go to Glenwood Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
There's various other places that you could go in downtown.
So there wasn't like one concentrated place. Whereas in Chapel Hill, you're going out. That's where you're going.
You're going to Franklin
Like there's
Street.
nowhere else that you're going.
But to your point, Franklin Street has gotten more corporate. It used to be, unique college establishments. You had your high end, but you also had places that students could afford.
There are still places there that I used to go, like Goodfellas.
Oh yeah,
I was a regular there.
Goodfellas. Although that was, it was something else.
Probably.
It was called something else. But like I miss the old Pepper's Pizza.
Treehouse, that's called something else.
Well, there was Bub O'Malley's.
Bubs, yeah. Oh yeah.
Treehouse.
That's where the 80s parties were at. Were Bubs. Was Bubs.
But then also what's curious about Franklin Street is that eventually it turns into Carborough and then the entire vibe changes.
100%.
100% changes by the time you get past Carolina Brewery.
That's the graduate school, Franklin Street.
Yes. So it's interesting because that's where, what is that? Graham Street, I think it is, where you have, you got a beer study.
Yeah, that's like the line of demarcation.
That's a line of demarcation.
100%,
But back in the day, that's where the grad students would hang out.
Yes.
But now it's pushed out even further.
Right. Like all into Carborough proper.
Yeah. But now when you go down to that area of Franklin Street, the east end of Franklin Street, have you seen the condos that they've built up over there?
Yeah, I've seen some of them. It's crazy.
So can you imagine living in one of those back in the day?
No. Wouldn't have been good for me.
Because
tell you that much.
You'd have to go.
Would have been real bad.
Because that's where Breadman's is.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's some right there.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been very bad for my academic and life careers. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. This is from Christopher. What happens to non-conference and independent schedules when these super leagues ultimately go to 10-game conference schedules? Fantastic question. Maybe it ends up more regional. Maybe it ends up with alliances, actual alliances between smaller conferences that do scheduling arrangements. It's something that maybe the ACC could have done with the Pac-12 years ago. Not conference expansion, but an actual scheduling alliance. But
maybe the ACC schools have the last laugh because they're the first to get out of their deal and just go, we're going independent. We're going to negotiate our own rights. We're going to play this team. We're going to play this team. What do you think? Go ahead. Give us the money.
Jeez.
I don't know. What?
From Bennett, what band that has been around in your lifetime are you most bummed that you will never see live. Nirvana seems too easy, so I'd say currently it's REM or Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys is a good response.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Mine is not. Oh, I guess Soundgarden would be a good example of that. For me, it's not so much the artist or the band, it's when.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
When. So I'll give you a good example. I am bummed out that I've never experienced the U2 Zoo TV tour era. Okay. Of the early 90s. Like that was like a watershed concert.
Right.
That I was not able to attend because I was too young at that point. Or my parents would never take. I was like 12 when that tour was happening. So they were never going to take me to that. So I saw the 360 tour at Carter Finley Stadium, but it wasn't the same U2. That wasn't like U2 at the peak of its powers back in 91, 92 when Achtung Baby had come out. And then there's the very famous Guns N' Roses Metallica double bill when Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 was out and Metallica's Black Album had been out. That's a show I really wanted to go see or a tour I wanted to go see, but I couldn't because I was too young.
For me, it's easy. It's not a band though. It's Prince.
Oh yeah.
I had a couple chances and was like, you know what? Because he toured a lot, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it later. And then, including in Vegas, turned down one. I'm still kicking myself.
Hold up, you turned down a Vegas one?
Not quite turned down. It wasn't like I had a ticket in hand and said no. It was like, can we make this work type of thing? And it was just kind of like, I don't think we can. Like, obviously, if I'd known, maybe you make things work a little bit harder. But
all right.
I think about that like at least once a week.
From Alex on Twitter, hey Joe, which backup QB surprised you the most during this weekend's preseason?
I don't know.
Given that I only watched the Panthers for preseason,
seriously,
my answer would still be Matt Corral. Regardless, tying it back to the start of this conversation at the beginning of the show, it's all relative. All eyes are on BryceYoung. That's what matters to the Panthers. But there was a level of curiosity in, okay, where is Matt Corral in his development? Where is Matt Corral as a viable backup? Is he one? And I'm not sure that he is based on what we saw.
I was going to go with Russell Wilson. I'm just kidding.
As a backup?
Just joking, guys. Come on.
Hey, he didn't have a great preseason either.
I know. I just had to get a little joke in. A mini joke.
Just saying. And we'll close on this from April. Joe OVIES and Joe Giglio Pro V1 will now be on display forever. Charlotte made her second hole-in-one with the ball on hole 3 at Pine Hollow because Giglio gave out a sleeve of Pro V1s with the OG logo on it.
Oh, okay.
So she's holding it up and her second hole-in-one with that ball. Perfect. Love to see it. Frame that thing.
That's awesome.
We're just making people happy.
There you go.
Positive vibes only, Brownlow. Positive vibes only. Go buy a t-shirt. Go to breakingtea.com/OG and go buy some t-shirts. Thanks for coming in.
Of course.
So we're actually, a little programming note. We're actually going to be recording tomorrow because PNC Arena, the Carolina Hurricanes, NC State, all the stakeholders, we should be getting an announcement of this new lease agreement and the future of PNC Arena. So we're going to talk to some people, some particulars about what's happening next at that site. So we'll see you then.